Hi, and welcome to another episode of Wine and Wisdom. I'm Thomas Leeuwin, and you're listening to the TL podcast, where knowledge is shared and no one takes themselves too seriously.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
How you doing?
Good night, guys.
Big topic today.
I know.
Gender pay gap. Thanks to Cam for bringing this one to the arena.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good topic, Cam, and about time. So
Don't suck up.
no.
2
So
weeks.
I think it's a
It's
topic
not going to increase your wage.
Oh, yes. I can see where this one's going. No, look, it's a topic that's on the top of a lot of people's minds, I would think, at the moment. And so I'm excited to get into it with you guys. So
Let's get into wine first.
wine first.
Wine first, and then we can.
All right, well, let's start with Louise first.
Okay, so today I'm bringing, it's actually a new bottle I discovered. It had the new tag at the shop. So it's a Thomas Hardy's Black Shiraz 2020. I figured Brave New World is its name, and I thought that might be where we end up today. So why not? That's my drop for today. What are you guys?
Where's that from? What did you say?
It's a Thomas Hardy's Black Shiraz 2020.
Where's
it from?
Is it South Australia?
I think so. Let me just have a quick read here. I think so. Yeah, South Australia. Yep.
Well researched. Well done.
Yeah.
You sit on that side of the screen with Chris, who's just done his research. I'm just watching Chris how he's just done his research just then.
All right, Chris, so what's yours, man? What's yours?
It's again my special delivery because there's not a competition this week. Again, my beautiful pick of the draw, $99 for a case delivered to your door. It's all the way from Spain this week.
Wow.
It's Gancedo from Syna. And I hope it's really nice. I'll tell you in a minute.
Sure it will be.
If I fall off the chair, it's poison. And if I don't, it's all right. It's all good.
You're going to have a crack, mate. Otherwise, we're going to take the wine out of the wine and wisdom bit. I've got a Premium Reserve Abbey Vale. Jesus, every week.
There it goes. Yeah.
Chardonnay from the Margaret River. It's a 2020, so it's going to be a bit young, but it's a newish wine. I hadn't seen it before, so I went to the middle shelf of Leeuwin, not the top shelf or the bottom shelf. Trusty old middle shelf. They age this stuff in a barrel for 9 months to give it a little bit more age before it comes out. So it will be interesting. Flint of citrus, complexed with ripe stone fruits. There you go.
Nice.
We'll see.
Oh, well, that's not bad. You can see when there's no competition, everyone's going for a $4.50 bottle. Now, I've got Tyrrell's Chardonnay 2019 from the Hunter Valley, estate grown. Very nice. Very, very good drop. So hopefully
this was $25.
Yeah.
hopefully you're going to enjoy it too. All right. So let's have a look. We're gonna have to go back to this competition, but we're very lucky. We're all lucky, guys. We're just trying to welcome Louise, so we're gonna see whether she's gonna be ready for the competition soon. All right. Anyway, this week's topic: who the hell came up with that garbage?
Be thanks to Cam.
Cheers, everybody. Before you
Cheers,
start
guys.
abusing me, cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Delicious.
Oh, that was $3 well spent.
Okay, so
At age.
pay gap, the gender pay.
Mm.
It's not a question of for or against. I think what's the issue? What's really the issue, huh?
Does it exist?
Does it exist? Is there such a thing?
Of course it exists.
Should we throw a disclaimer out there or not? I feel like
Yeah, better. Go on, Cam. Do it.
we might need a disclaimer.
Your floor's yours.
The floor's mine. Righto. for all you idiots out there that are going to come at us, especially the ones calling us woke morons on Facebook already before we've even started, give us a chance before you pigeonhole us, because you might be surprised. You won't be surprised by Chris. The important thing is here, this is a platform for us to have a few drinks and a bit of healthy debate about topics that are out there in the world. And sometimes we're going to take the alternative view just for the benefit of exploring that view. You can't just have one view in the world. That's not the way the world's meant to work. And that's why we're all in the shit we're in. So, as I said last week, be mindful of your opinions that we don't really care about them, but also know that a lot of this is a joke and a show, and we're just trying to explore different avenues. Disclaimer over.
Yeah, we're not doing it for you guys. We're doing it for us. Every week. It's an opportunity for the four of us to grow up and to learn something. And this week, it's not something really special. I think that there is there's an agenda pay gap. I think that I'm a bit upset that there are more women in childcare and nursing than men. I mean, I think it's disgusting. I think that there ought to be also an equal opportunity, but right now we're fighting something uphill. There's more women doing those kind of jobs. Now, let's start with the pay.
Don't get me started on flight attendants. How's a bloke supposed to get a start?
Well, maybe there's about 50-50, but I'm just thinking, in order to get this right, we have to rely on figures. And the problem we have to start with is that the figures are using subjective data.
Oh, before you go into the data, let's just state our position. Chris asked, is there such thing as a gender pay gap? I'm saying no. Doesn't exist, like COVID.
Yes, I think it does exist.
Oh, we're shocked.
Well, fucking, why ask my opinion if you knew it already then?
That's all right, mate. Hey, well, as I said in a disclaimer, you're all allowed the opinion. We just don't have to care.
In brackets, yes, I do think it does. I do think it exists. I do.
It does exist.
However, there's a lot more context to that conversation.
No, I just asked. Does it exist or doesn't? Lou?
Yes.
Absolutely exist.
Thomas?
Yeah, it does exist, but it's normal. It has to exist.
So is it a gender? Yes. Does a gender pay gap exist, or does a performance pay gap exist?
No, a gender pay gap exists, which is going back to Thomas's comment. That is one of the reasons why a gender pay gap exists, because jobs such as in the nursing field or the childcare field, or areas which are more sort of biased towards women, that's why there is a pay gap, because the pay rates for those industries are based more on women being in those industries. And I think...
Or are they based on the importance of the role?
Well, I mean, the importance of the role, what could be more important than a childcare worker and
Rugby
a nurse?
league. That's what's more important.
Well, to some, but, ask a childcare worker what their importance of their role is, and I think you'll get a very different answer.
Okay. But then if a male's doing childcare, like Thomas said, more opportunities for men in childcare, there aren't any. You're actually looked down upon or looked at suspiciously if you're a male doing that kind of role. Same as teaching. They had a lot of trouble getting men teachers for a while because every one of them was looked at as a pedophile. So is it that industry that has the pay gap? Why is it sex related? Why is it gender related? Why is it not just childcare is worth this much, so this is what we pay? It's not worth that much because women are doing it. I'm sure there'd be guys out there wanting to do it.
I guess because they base the award wage around majority of women doing the role. And I know that there's a lot more men in childcare and teaching positions. Like I know a lot of my kids, well, my only child that's left at school, I suppose, is a lot of his teachers are males. I know for a fact Steve's grandson, who's in preschool or kindy, whatever it's called, his childcare teacher is a male, which I found, amazing because you don't really hear of it. But nursing.
No. Do male teachers get paid more than female teachers?
Yeah, I believe they do.
So if two people are starting their teaching careers this year, and they both turn up to the same school and one's a boy and one's a girl, they're getting paid differently?
Yeah, I believe they do. Yeah.
Have you got anything to back that up?
Not with me, but
No. So there's the thing. If a boy and a girl both start their childcare career tomorrow, are they going in on different wages or are they going in on the same wage?
no, I actually believe that they do. If you look at the statistics, and I'm sure you guys have, if you look at the statistics overall, if you take into consideration all employment, part-time, full-time, etc., on average, the pay gap, which is actually standing at 14% at the moment, but when you take in part-time, full-time, and every other occupation, the pay gap is actually 31%. So on average, blokes are earning $486 per week more than women.
You're not answering my question.
No, but
We both
hold on,
walked into
Louise,
this-
to answer his question, in 1969, equal pay has been put into act. It is illegal since then to really have different pay. So two people starting from different sex in a profession will be paid the same thing.
Get paid the same. So it's not
Absolutely.
a gender
It's
pay
legal,
gap.
doctor, yeah.
Okay, well, that's good. That if that's the case, then that's good.
So it's not a gender pay gap. It's an industry pay gap or a professional pay gap or a performance pay gap.
But if you look at management and roles, like there is a pay gap when it comes to management based purely on gender.
Yeah.
So there was
It's illegal.
there was a bit of,
It's not. And
not in management. Not
Exactly.
in management, it's not illegal. However, you've got to look at the fact in management, in public administration, there's only a 7% difference. Now, when you get into finance and insurance, there's a 31% difference.
Exactly.
Now, that's a huge difference when now we're talking public administration compared to a performance-based industry. We've got to work on, are these performance-based pays or are these equal pay for equal pay? Because when it comes to performance, it's something totally different. Equal pay doesn't,
Looks like we've all read some of the same stats, right? But I read the column about real estate because obviously it's relevant to us, and it says there's
Yep.
a 20-something% difference in real estate. Now, we work in an industry where everyone has the opportunity to make exactly the same money because we're paid commissions. I don't know. I employ males and I employ females, and there's nowhere in the award says pay this person more based on their gender, and there's nowhere in our system that says, well, if you've got a male sales manager versus a female sales manager, they should get more. So where does a 20% gap come? I'll tell you where a 20% gap comes. We're better at selling houses.
I think it's in our innate ability through negotiation. We're a little bit more aggressive. And that doesn't
That's not a gender pay gap. That's an ability pay gap again.
No, absolutely. But that's where I'm coming from. I believe that difference in those industries, it comes from that aggression to be able to negotiate a better deal, to argue what you're worth. Now,
Yeah.
and whether it's real estate or law or whatever industry, when you're in upper management, if you can negotiate more for yourself, good luck to you. But if you're happy to settle for less and you accept that, that's then not an equal pay thing. That's you're settling for that money.
So you two who said there's definitely a gender pay gap, you still haven't provided one bit of evidence to show there's a gender pay gap. You've said that some industries get paid more than others. You've said that if someone's a better negotiator than others, they'll get paid.
Okay,
Show me somewhere where it says because you're a girl, you're getting paid less. Show me somewhere.
So you're saying it's mandated that they get paid less. We're not stating that. We're saying they earn less because of those factors. That's all we're saying, mate.
That's not a gender pay gap.
Sorry?
That's not a gender pay gap. That's not
But
discrimination based on.
No, I'm not saying it's discrimination. Didn't never say it was discrimination, mate. You said, is there a difference between what a woman gets paid and a man? I believe in certain industries,
There is.
not teaching, not childcare, not nursing, because that's mandated. But those industries, there is a difference, but it comes down to the opportunity, the equal opportunity. It's not discrimination. It comes down to that person. Look, there's nothing more unequal as treating unequals equally. And if your ability in a job is to bring more into that business, you should be paid more. I don't give a rat's ass if you're a woman or a man. You should be paid more. That is equal opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Is it performance gaps or pay gaps? That's the problem. I think
That's what I just said. You can't steal my lines. I literally just asked you the same question.
But mate,
and now I've talked you into my side of the fence, mate. That's literally what I just said to you.
Did you
That's
research
based-
any other industry besides real estate, Cam?
I've read all the statistics, right? But in none of them does it say you're paid less because you're a woman.
No,
Well,
you- I,
Find
I
one where it
don't-
says because you're. Find one document that says if they're a woman you can pay them this much, and if they're a man
why
you can
does
pay
a
them
gender
this much.
pay gap exist then? Why does a gender pay gap exist?
Because it's not a gender pay gap; it's a
Why is there
performance
such a
pay
problem?
gap. It's an ability pay gap. It's an opportunity pay gap.
no.
Right? Women, in a lot of cases, can't go and earn as much as men because of the family structure and raising kids and doing all that stuff. But that doesn't mean they're paid less because they're women. It's because they can't perform at the same hours, the same level, or the same rate. It appears because there's a pay gap as men. If it's illegal to pay people differently based on their gender, how can there be a gap if it's not based on what they're
Why-
actually able to do?
Why is there a clause in contracts that's totally legal in Australia that you're not allowed to discuss your wage with other employees?
but that doesn't go gender. That goes amongst
I know, but
men
why
to
does that
men,
exist
who
then?
anyone.
But why does it
It's-
exist?
It's because the owners
It's
don't want to
privacy
be-
laws.
Number
No.
one, and number two, but it's the owner of that business doesn't want to have to face everyone. If you've got one really good negotiator that can negotiate their wage high, you know what? I'll pay you that because you're bringing more in, but shut up. You don't need to tell everyone else. And that's a fair call, whether that's a woman or a man. So on Cam's argument, I'd agree with Cam, but Cam, I have to say to you that the gap
Show's over.
the gap is defined by female male. But
No.
you are right because of those commitments that females have to the house, whether it's domestic chores, kid sicknesses, having children, whatever it may be. They don't get that longevity in a role that a lot of men do. They don't have the hours to put in. That's often
Right.
defaulted back to the woman.
So the problem is, and a few of the people who commented on the Facebook page was good, stirred a lot of stuff, but just the title of it has people saying either we're suggesting or the suggestion is, much like I've just tried to argue against you, just by saying gender pay gap, everyone assumes that it's women complaining that men are the reason they're getting paid less and all this sort of stuff. One, that's nowhere in the definition of gender pay gap, as that was the argument you were trying to make, Chris. Right?
It's not a discrimination thing. It's a social thing. It's a genetics thing.
And
It's
to
a-
say that everyone should be paid equally is the most moronic fucking statement I've ever heard in my life. So if you're on that side of the fence, please leave.
yeah,
That's all.
I agree with you, mate. Absolutely.
Thomas, help me.
I don't know why I can't help you, man. Listen, so can you just tell me, there's an organization, it's the Workplace Gender Equality Agency, right? So
Wagia.
these guys are, every second year, they actually gather information from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, and they have a look at the gap. So where the hell did they come up with the 14% then?
Louise knows, apparently. It's because it's in the contracts.
Yeah, well, look, if I looked on that same website and I did take some notes down here. The Australian gender pay gap, and this is on the WGAA website. It specifically says word for word, this year in Australia, the gender pay gap, Cam, has increased by 14.2%. That's a difference of $262 a week for weekly full-time earnings.
Yep.
They also went on to say that not only does the gender pay gap affect differences in pay, it also therefore affects the difference in superannuation long term for people retiring. And in actual fact, Australian women over 50 are making up more of a percentage of homelessness than anyone else. So, I mean, why is that? Because there's such a difference.
Because they're earning less money, but they're not earning less money because they're women.
Can I ask you, is that an increase?
Depending on what industry. Depending on
Is
what
that an
industry.
increase?
No, I've already
Was
proved that.
Was that an increase to 14%?
No. It's increased to 14%. It's
Stands out.
What was it previously? Was it lower than that previously? Because
Basically,
It peaked in 2014, I believe. And it's been going downhill since then. But I think
I think it's fluctuated between 9 and 19% over the last 2 decades.
again.
no, it's gone up a little bit, but less than 0.1 about less than 1%, Chris, in the last 6 to 8 months.
Well, that's less than 1% enough to lock a whole country down and make us still wear masks inside. So, fucking.
The reason I ask is as we move away from the norm that we knew 20, 30 years ago of, three kids, mum and dad, 3 kids, 2.5 kids, whatever it was. Mum stays at home, dad works, and so forth. We've got into a lot of, everyone's working. Mums are really still required to do a lot more of the domestic chores, but they're getting to a lot more of those higher paid roles. And I think, and we spoke about when Jordan, with the book we're speaking about with Jordan Peterson, was saying the more they get into those higher paid roles, the less men are going to want to get there, because there's that equality will push men out of those jobs.
But that's not an equality thing. That's the women choosing to not care less. That's a horrible thing, but focus less on raising a family and focus more on their career. And
but I think you'll find
Peterson said in that book, he's worried about us.
Structure's decreasing as well, from 2.5 kids down to probably 1.8 or 1.5 kids. The family unit's getting smaller as well as that. So, and a lot more men are stay-at-home dads, I should say. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So those figures are going to eventually equalize, and I think maybe even differentiate the other way, maybe 50 years down the track.
They actually said within the statistics, Thomas, I think you probably would have read it too. I think they were saying at this current rate, it would take 75 years to equalise.
It doesn't have to equalise. That's the point. It doesn't have to equalise. We both start at the same spot. We both walk into the same listing appointment. We both walk in with the same opportunity. It doesn't have to equalise. If a woman's getting paid more than me, fantastic. One of the best people in our network is a woman. The top salesperson in our network is a woman.
Yeah, but
no blokes there saying, "Oh, that's unfair. She's only doing that because she's a woman," right? No one is saying that. That's the point. It doesn't have to equalise. Get better at your job, work more, work harder, have less kids. If you want equal pay, you got to do the same work. That's all. That's the point. You've got to perform at the same level. Everyone's got the same opportunities. And as Thomas alluded to at the start, we don't have the same opportunities because men don't get allowed into a lot of the industries that women can do, yet women are allowed into every single one of the men's.
They are allowed into the industries, but probably because of the stigma that comes with those industries, men don't go into them.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Some of those industries, like primary school teaching, I know for a fact that they are actually trying to attract young men, young teachers, young male teachers into that industry. They still get paid the same though. The difference is they may be put above a female because there is a predominantly female-based teachers in that primary school range. So they want to attract those young men into the industry. So, but the pay's still the same.
Yeah, but if you look at different industries, like Cam's talking about real estate and keeps referring to real estate, but if you look at the different industries, there is a distinctive gap between
what Lou? Which ones though?
Leadership roles, management roles in all different industries.
But is that because of their gender, or is that because of ability, longevity, the time put in?
Our premier up a month ago was a female. Was she getting paid less than Dominic Perrier's getting paid? Not a chance in hell. Not a chance in hell.
I know she was earning big bickies, but I wouldn't have a clue. But
that's what I mean. She made her way to the top. She beat all the blokes. She got paid.
Listen, my wife's in an executive role. She worked bloody hard to get there. I know she's looked after well, but she puts the hours in. But I know that she would probably earn the same as a bloke doing the same thing because she puts the hours in. Her ability is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, shut up, Thomas. I know what you're thinking already. But that's what you put in. You get out what you put in. Honestly, I'd have to say, yes, I believe there's a gender pay gap, but I have to agree with Cam. It's on a performance-based thing. Women generally don't have the time or don't want to put the time into it.
I don't think
there's nothing wrong with that. It's not even saying blokes are better.
It's not they don't want to. Do you know on average women spend 90 minutes a day doing basic chores that blokes don't even think about, such as packing a lunchbox, washing, cleaning, etc., etc.
Well, we do. We say, why hasn't she packed a lunchbox, or why hasn't she?
Where's my lunch? Where's my lunch? No, but that averages out to 7
I
years.
spend 90 minutes a day reading the news on the toilet. Does it?
Just so you know, Cam, you just wasted 7 years of your life. Just so you know. That's what it works out to be.
But that doesn't mean it's a guy's fault. And it doesn't mean it's
I'm
the
not saying
stigma.
it's a guy's fault.
No, but
I'm saying it's what us women have to do.
But that's the stigma attached to the whole conversation. That's why people are calling us woke morons on Facebook for even suggesting that there's a gender pay gap, because they think because we suggested there might be one that we're feminists all of a sudden and we hate men. Right? That's not the case. And both of you started your argument down that line. And now, because of the great negotiation skills I have and the great debating skills I have, which are probably worth more than both of you put together, I've managed to swing you to my side of the fence. So that's why I'm worth more. That's why I'm worth more.
You haven't swung me. I don't know about you.
No, I'll let him think that, because it makes him feel secure when he goes to sleep. But that's all right. That's all right.
So where's the floor, TL? You've done, you got, I think, I'm picking up, you've gone a bit deep. No, where's the flaw in the statistics, right? I'm not trying to drag you into anything here. So these statistics, and it looks like we've all Googled and all read exactly the same article, right? So those statistics are very, very broad-based and very generic and don't have any secondary follow-up or any, this might be because of that behind it. It's just 14.2, men earn 14%, 14.2% more than women. So where is the flaw in their thinking?
I don't think it's a question of law. I think that you choose whatever data you want to do. So, for example, to use people extra time into the calculation, that's a flaw, because I think men, because they don't have to go home and because they don't have to necessarily be there for the kids and do the cooking and prepare for dinner, are okay with doing extra hours, are okay to do long days. And so I think, you're making, I think for me, the gender pay thing seems to have some kind of feministic kind of views in it. And you go onto this website, WGEA, and I thought it was a workplace equality. And you can see that there's a flavor of feminism, where we're trying to prove that actually women are at loss. But it's not women are at loss. It's, I think that we also need to look at our biology. The biology is men from the time that they have grown from monkeys. Men have always been the one fighting, the one to do conquest, the one to bring things, where women have been more about caring, about making sure that the children are looked after. And so what happened is we already have inbuilt mechanism where women are going to go in one direction and men are going to go in that one direction and work. And I think we're going to have to be careful with coming up with all of these things here, because we might be changing things in our own civilization. Because the way that we're going right now, I don't understand why do we now have to make sure that as CEO of big companies, we have great opportunities for women to have equal numbers. It's no longer equal. I think it's no longer merit. It's, why is it
it's no longer merit-based.
Why is it that
agenda-based? Yeah.
We have to have companies looking, and actually, if you have a large company and you don't have a certain amount of women on the board, they actually look bad at you. I think we're going to have to be very careful, because we are creating now inequality. We are setting up a system where it's no longer about like merit, but it is about, all right, well, if you are, I mean, it's also it's got its own merit, because women are more caring. Women have to sacrifice a bit of their life to look after the family. So should we have certain positions ready there for them? Should we have a quota for them? Or if you are a company, meaning you're chasing profit, should it be the best in the position? I don't know.
There's four of us here. There's four of us here, right? All four of us are business owners, yes?
Yeah.
Two of us are women.
Cam,
right?
you and I.
Take your bra off, Cam.
Oh, I'm wearing the purple shirt, but come on.
Now, be
no,
careful.
so let me
now.
ask
You
Louise
introduce-
straight
you
out. Louise,
introducing the third gender, mate.
yeah. No, well, one of the Facebook comments said there's 72 genders now apparently. So what
It is just
gender
the
pay gap?
construct, right?
Those stats are only talking about when men and women. Apparently, men and women don't exist anymore. So we're all non-binary. We're all they, us, them, you. But Lou, you're trying to fight an argument where you own the business, mate. You've come through the ranks. You started at the bottom. You started at the same place as many other men, and you're where you are. So, do you feel that you coming up? Did you feel a gender bias? And how did you get to where you are? If there's such a big advantage for males in the world?
Well, I guess looking at our industry alone, I don't think there's much of a difference because our industry purely comes down to one thing: you get out what you put in. So, and that's again like what you've already touched on, regardless of male or female, you get out what you put in. And as you said, Cam, probably a lot of the top salespeople within our network are women. There's a lot of guys, but I think there's a lot, probably women might outdo them. I don't know. But I think I'm talking on a more wider scale here, that I think there's more of a gap in other industries. And it wasn't really until this topic was raised last week and I started to have a look and do a little bit of research and looking at the statistics, I did sort of think, oh, hang on, there is actually such thing as this.
So what's the fix then, right? So you're saying they look at an industry, one of your comments at the start, they look at an industry and go, well, that's mostly full of women, so we'll make it worth less.
They say, now let me go back to my notes because I don't want to get it wrong. The three major factors of why a gender pay gap happens or exists. Number one, jobs that are historically overpopulated with women are paid less, i.e. childcare, nursing, banking. The types of jobs women are likely to gravitate to are paid less. Okay, time out of the workforce for caring for children, caring for elderly parents, etc. And three, the unconscious bias and discrimination. They're the three reasons why a gender pay gap exists.
Well, let's take number two out of the equation, because you can't get paid the same if you're doing less work, right?
Yeah, but we're talking, if we talk about pay per week, all right, that's a different thing. If we talk about pay over time, of an average woman and average man's lifespan, you can't say take number two out. Women don't have a choice. You guys want children.
Of course you got a choice. Hey, you guys want children? There's no one making anyone have kids anywhere, bro.
No, I'm not saying that. But if people want to have children, the man can't exactly go and take those 10 years off and do that, can he? So
right.
A woman has to do it. So in that respect,
it's just as bloody well, if they want to raise a family, it's just as bloody well the guy can go out there and make a good living, yeah? Because he's got a support said.
So men die earlier. So men generally die earlier than women, right? So let's take out the fact that we don't live as long and adjust the time frame on that period as well. Let's judge it for the time we're at work.
That's what it did. So on a
not for the time that we're off having whatever. I mean, if men get sick, men are in more dangerous careers, oil rigs, construction, whatever it may be. So they're off injured a lot more. And we still fall down in real estate, right? And I said this to TL the other day. We've got an REB top 100 agents, and then we've got an REB top 50 female agents, because we need to separate the categories for whatever reason, right? And that in itself is part of the issue that Thomas is speaking about, in that we don't have to be equal, and we go down a dangerous path by making that everyone has to feel included. There's no top 50 just male real estate list. There's no one running around, and I've used this before, there's no one running around saying I'm the number one male agent in a suburb. Right?
I'm pretty sure I've seen a lot of them.
No, but they don't say male.
Yeah,
right? They say I've seen plenty of I'm the number one female agent in a suburb. I've seen I'm plenty of number one agent in a suburb. I've never seen I'm number one male agent in a suburb, right? So it doesn't get discounted in real estate. It can still be a problem here. But the fact still remains that two people walk into a door going for the same the same time, they are paid exactly the same amount. What you choose to do from that point forward is up to you. All right. It's not about men expect to have kids or this or that. We're all human beings. But if that's the case, and if you choose as a family to have kids, you can't then say, well, I should be getting paid more. You can't.
Yeah. But in the overall time scheme, we have to, women, if we choose to have children, and as a family, we make that decision, we do have to sacrifice those years of our life and catch up. So we can retire and have the superannuation, which you guys have, you know. But
on the flip side of that, Lou,
Aren't kids the greatest gift of all?
Men have to make the decision to sacrifice sometimes and often sacrifice their family and their relation with their children to get ahead in their job.
So do women.
But that's where we go. It's equal opportunity. Coming back to what Cam said before, I ask you, you've been in real estate for some time. Would you rather be known as Australia's #1 female agent, Australia's #1 agent?
Either.
Which one would you rather, though?
I suppose.
Would you feel good? Would you be happy being the #1 female agent, but being number 24 on the list of agents?
I wouldn't care.
No, but that's the thing. You shouldn't. It's just merit. I love the fact that everything we do is merit based, but this whole conversation and the whole place we're heading, and the woke morons, which aren't us, are heading down a path where let's create a world where nothing's merit based and you're chosen on your race, sex, creed, color, belief. Like, you got to have, TV's already done it. You've got to have a certain number of black characters, gay characters, female characters, chauvinistic male, white characters, the whole lot, just to fill a brief. Right?
But there are industries where if it's the same position, if you are male or female, there is a difference in pay.
Which ones?
It's illegal. You can't do it.
No, but there are. Thomas, did you read the same information?
No.
Okay. So there are in different. Okay, so how can I reword it? So maybe that it's in management and leadership roles, in CEO levels. A CEO of a company, a woman CEO, will be paid on average $26,000 less than a man in the same position.
Is that because of her
Is that written in the contract, or did she ask for $26,000 less?
I don't know.
Exactly. So you can't claim it. You can't claim it. That's the point.
I'm just telling you what I read.
Yes, I know, but you've read the stat, right? You've read the stat and you're trying to turn it into there is gender bias in people's wages. You've got to have evidence to back that up. I guarantee there's nowhere in that contract that says we're going to pay him $26,000 more because he's a man. Okay, it's so because he asked for 26.
Gender pay gap exist. Put gender pay gap in Google and look at what comes up. Why does it exist then?
That's why I don't put it in Google, because Google's a leftist woke moron company. Right? So you put it in DuckDuckGo.
I'm sure you use Google 50 times a day. Whenever you need the answer, I'm sure you go.
Lou, all you have to do right here today is come up with one piece of credible evidence that says someone is paid more because they're a man. You're saying people are paid more because they're a man or a woman, but you haven't said how, why, or where it is. You're quoting statistics that say there's a gap between men and women. Mm-hmm. We all agree that if two people walk into a door and one's a guy and one's a girl, they have to get paid the same amount. So find me one shred of evidence where people are actually getting paid more because they're a man. It's not a guy's fault if he's a miner and miners get paid a shitload because they're going underground and risking their lives and finding gold, that they're getting paid more than a childcare worker. Now, I think childcare worker is way underpaid because I pay $150 a day for fucking childcare and I know what the people get paid, so I want to know where the rest of the money's going, but that isn't the point. If a CEO is getting paid more than another CEO, tough shit, it's not because of your gender. It's because you weren't good enough to get the extra cash.
No, Cam, I disagree.
Find me an evidence. Find me a reason.
I ask you, Lou, if the miner, female, male, was going into that tunnel, would they be paid the same?
I don't know. Depends on this job description, I suppose. Depends on what they're doing.
Because I know this.
We got
Female
around-
male lollipop men get paid the same.
We're going around circles, all right? So I think that we made a very good point to start, the fact that there's equal thing. But now let's have a look. Ash Barty just won the Cincinnati.
Don't
tennis
steal sport off
tournament.
me. That's where I was going.
You can't do sport, man. Sport's totally different.
No, you can. You can. I was going to go down the sport route. Go, Thomas. Go. Go, brother. Go.
I'm out.
So Ash Barty just won, and she got $357,000 check
Yes.
for winning. The men, when they won, they actually got 2.5 times more, which is $918,000 for the
Sorry.
winning prize.
Cam, explain.
Sponsorship dollars and the amount of people watching. Easiest answer ever.
But they're doing
Men play 5 sets, women play 3 sets. Way more sponsorship dollars in men's sport. And I'm not saying there should be, but I'm just saying there is, right? Prize money is paid by sponsors. They come out today, the Queensland Rugby League. This is how stupid Queenslanders are, right? They've decided that they're going to pay the women's state of origin team the same amount as the men's state of origin team, right? The women play 1 game, I think, and a suburban ground with 5,000 people watching, and it's televised on late night TV. The men play 3 games, which are the highest rating sports event in TV in Australia every single year. The sponsorship dollars, the gate takings, everything to go along with it. And the men get paid $30,000 a game. Well, now, congratulations, the women getting paid $30,000 a game, but it wasn't for any valid reason other than things should be equal. If you have a business, and we all run businesses, and there's a certain pool of money, right? Well, let's go back to the real estate. The person who sells the most houses gets paid the most money, right? Someone who sells half as many houses doesn't get paid as much as someone who sells double the amount. And that's why there's such a big pay gap in women's sport.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where it works. The people who are playing tennis, the ladies are saying, listen, we work as hard. It's not our fault if we only attract this much, but we are doing exactly the same kind of work. We have to play. I get it. 2 sets, a 3-set game rather than up to 5 sets game. But that's mainly because the men have got more power. We doing our bit here. Shouldn't we have the same checks? And if not, then how come many other competitions in the world, actually, especially the Grand Slam, are actually now awarding equal, prize money, whether it is to women or men. So I think there are blatant examples where we hide behind prize or ticket money or viewer views in our audience in order to set that inequality. So I think that there's a case where, yes, there is a huge gender issue. But I also believe, Louise, if you had artistic swimming, synchronized artistic swimming, I'm not sure the men would be paid the same as the women doing the swim.
Be terrible.
So, don't you believe that? So, this is where the thing is that
I'm sure for a photo shoot in a bikini, I'd get paid a lot less than my wife. I'm just saying. Right?
I'm sure about that too, mate.
Yeah. So it goes, but to the sport thing, play a different sport or get out then. If you're not playing it for the love of the sport, right, you can't argue with the fact that LeBron James is worth more money than the top female basketball player. No one's saying they don't work hard. No one's saying, but they made a choice, right?
And does Ash Barty get more than, the guy who's ranked 20, where she's ranked number 1 or 2? Does she get more with sponsorship dollars than the guy at number 20?
Yeah, but sponsorship dollars is a different thing. We're talking about pay, so we're talking about the prize money. No, we're not talking about sponsorship, and this is where LeBron example I think is not worthy of being discussed here.
Thomas,
here's another discussion. Lisa Wilkinson saga versus.
Good. Sounds funnier. And the real reason she was getting paid less is because she had a $500,000 endorsement deal with a vitamin company that wasn't a Channel 9 sponsor, so they took that into account.
Tell me the story. Tell me that story. Whatever you know.
Yay.
I know that she was getting paid a lot less than Carl. I know that she blew up about it. But the story came out after she wrote her book that she was actually getting a $500,000 endorsement deal that wasn't in agreement with a work contract, and Channel 9 allowed her to have that, but it was factored into her wage. And she's not as funny as Carl. Right? But I ask you this, Thomas. Someone who's bringing you $1 million a year and someone who's bringing you $200,000 a year, who do you pay better?
Oh, absolutely. There's no problem. But
So that's the thing with the female. They're not bringing in as much money, mate.
no, that we're gonna have to be careful.
No.
That's not a point. I think
No. On the sport. They're not bringing in the advertising dollars. Sport. Right? If a male game of State of Origin is got 4 million viewers and is generating X million dollars in advertising revenue and X million dollars in gate takings, they get paid a percentage of that. If we do it straight off percentages, right? We're paid commission, so let's do it off commission. Everyone's going to make 3%. You're going to make 3% of the gate takings. Women are going to get paid less. You're going to make 3% of the advertising dollars. Women are going to get paid less.
yeah, no, that I understand. So to get to Cam's point, if you have a male soccer team versus a female soccer team, it's going to be very, very hard to discuss equal pay because
Absolutely.
the ticket and the gate's not the same.
Australian soccer players get paid a lot less than the English soccer players. Prime example, they're both men, but the audience is different.
Yeah.
We're talking millions to hundreds of thousands.
It's a
And the same will be said.
dominated sport though, and that's it always has been, and women are just coming through now. There's a huge difference.
We just had it though with the Olympics, right? Where the I'm going to get the figures wrong, but let's just throw round figures out. The able-bodied Olympics, if you won a gold medal, you were paid $30,000, I believe, and if you won a gold medal in the Paralympics, you weren't paid anything.
Yeah. It's
Right?
just,
So it's a similar thing though, right? Because the money that is generated by winning a gold medal in the able-bodied Olympics, you can't compare to the money generated by winning in the Paralympics. So again, it's not gender-based. I disagree with Thomas. Yes, they all work as hard, but if they don't earn as much money for the company, brother, you can't pay them. You go broke. If a company that's not making any money pays their people way too much, what happens? You go broke. You go out of business.
I'm not talking about the sponsorship. I'm talking about in some industry it requires you the same amount of sweat. You know.
Okay, but it's not the same amount of sweat when we're playing 3 sets and the guys are playing 5 and the ladies are playing 3 sets of tennis. It's not the same. It's
but whose fault is?
I don't
it's the same when the footballers are playing one game and the guys are playing 3 games.
I don't think we can really use sport as an example here, guys. I really don't think it's a good example of, shining light on this gender pay gap, because I just don't think it's relevant. I mean,
I think female athletes would disagree with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, they should be paid the same, but the reality is, Cam, which you clearly pointed out, is because they're majority male dominated industry field, sport, whatever. Of course, there's a higher following of those. For football, for example, of course, everybody watches the State of Origin, and probably 50% of people or less watch the women's State of Origin. That will probably change as time goes on, but I don't think we can use sport to come to a conclusion about,
it's just another factor about it, right? And Thomas is upset because his twins are female tennis players and he's only worried about his superannuation fund, which isn't going to be as much as a guy twins superannuation fund who are superstar tennis players. That's the bottom line.
No, I'm not upset about it. I'm just raising some of the issues so we can talk a little bit about it. I think the twins know already. You're not good. And if the ticket price is that way, it is the goal. You don't have to compete. You don't want that $370,000. Don't play, right? He is the prize money. You want to play, you play. You don't want to play, don't play. But don't just go in there like screaming for equality. This is the issue, is that I don't know whether it is the gender pay is an issue. And I wonder whether sometimes we are seeking that fairness, that kind of lefty pursuit of everything equal. There's a company that I think it was in Silicon Valley, where they actually paid every employee the same amount of money, whether your guy is not so good to the guy who actually created the device that really launched the company into stratosphere. You pay the same amount of money across the entire company. I don't know. Is that fair? I mean, now you're probably not going to have a problem with gender pay or anything at all, but is that fair? Now, the other thing too about gender pay, I've got two guys, right? So they both men or they both female. They go to a job, one negotiate a better pay. Now, there's no more gender pay issue now, but what about the difference between the men 1 versus men B? I mean, that we're not even talking about. There seems to be too much of a emphasis on sex has to be equal. And I'm not sure whether it was Scott Peck in his book, The Road Less Traveled, but I think the first line he started with is, life is not fair, or fairness doesn't exist. I think that's how it starts. And we seem to now, as we evolve in the society, seeking that notion of fairness about everything. And I don't see fairness because, as I said at the beginning when I started, even looking at this website that is normally about workplace equality, everything's about women. When there's a point about women having less, it's in bold. When there's a point about men, we're making way more, it's in bold. What are we doing here? Why do we do this? Are we generating stuff? And we've read Jordan Peterson, and I'm really got to understand him a bit more about from going through all this stuff. Are we trying to go against biology? Are we really trying to go against what it is to be the nature of being a man or woman, seeking something that doesn't exist, that we can't pursue? And if we reach that, are we going to create more problems? You know, he talks about the lobster and how lobsters, once it's beaten, it remembers that for the rest of its life. Are we creating a society now where men are going to play the role of women, and women are aiming to be equal to a man, and when they go home, what do they do? And what do we create, and what kind of society are we creating then? I think that where Jordan Peterson, and I agree with, is sometimes before we really make this kind of decision, we're gonna have to really think way more than just that first step of equality.
We're by doing it, we're trying to extinguish the flame of ambition and achieving something on your own merit, and creating more, which is the last thing we need in this world, more entitlement. More entitlement where I don't have to perform. I need to be there because he's there, or I don't need to be there because I'm any good at it, but she's there, so I deserve to get there.
I think,
and if we extinguish that flame, how do we keep moving forward? Because that flame created all the greatest inventions in the world. That flame created all the greatest businesses in the world. That flame created Olympic gold medalists in male and females.
Yeah. I think Cam, from where I see it, is I think because a lot of the roles predominantly have been held by men in higher positions, and sort of touching on what Thomas said then, you know, are we changing biology and all the rest of it? The man's nature is to hunt and gather and provide, and the women's nature is to nurture and care and look after the family. And that is exactly how we were designed. And I totally agree with that. But I think women are sort of saying, well, why can't we have equal opportunity as men? And majority
You do.
Hear me out. Majority of, if not 1/3 of all positions in that higher level are held by men. And majority of the lower paid jobs in society are held by women. And that's purely because I think, personal opinion, men have historically held those positions, and that's just the man's job. And I think more women are sort of rising up to say, well, hang on, why can't we have those positions? Just because men have historically held them, why can't we? And I think, and that's where the difference is.
But no one's saying you can't. You were saying you can't. You weren't going. You as in
I
women.
don't think those jobs are there because of it's society, Lou. I think it's because of the roles men and women have taken in their lives. Women have to stop and start their careers for 1, 2, 3, 4 children. Where men have that continual succession plan. Unfortunately, that is genetics. It's not.
I totally agree with you. But majority of the roles in the higher paid industries are held by men and always have been.
Why though? Not because they're men. That's the thing.
Let her finish, man.
You're killing me.
No.
They're there because they worked their way there.
Yeah, because they didn't have to stop and have children and do everything else that women have to do along the way.
I know, but that doesn't mean you have to give the job to a woman. That doesn't mean you have to.
We can do those roles, and we should be able to do those roles.
You can and you should. So don't have the kids and work through it.
It's not that easy, Cam. It's not that easy. But
you should do less time, have less experience, kick less goals because you're at home with the kids and still get the top job. That is not the way the world should work. That is what will bury us because you'll have less experience, less skilled and less qualified people running the country because of what's between their legs. You can't run a society based on what's between people's legs. It has to be how efficient, how qualified are they to do the job? There's a reason most of the top jobs in the world are held by men.
I hear you.
And what is the reason?
I hear you. But tell me this, Cam,
we're men.
I can play football as well as you can play football.
Oh, run at me.
But you're not going to pick me to be on your team because I'm a female because
no, mate, I've been in argument with you before. I'd pick you. No. So why? There you go. You've just proved my point. Why should I pick you? If all the boys are better than you at football, why should I pick you?
Yeah, but that's exactly my point, Cam. Men
are better than you. It's not because they're men; they're better.
Yeah, but Cam, I think that your view is a little bit minimalistic. I think we need to really have a look at that. It's not about men's better. It's not about like men's
football. No. She said football.
I'm talking about positions. There is some kind of issue. For sure, there is an issue. But I think that the pursuit of this topic, this is why I didn't really like this topic. It's crazy that this topic has created so much controversy, and I know we had our Facebook with stuff and comments because I think that in the end we're starting whenever society is comfortable and is getting a lot, we start to create a lot of other issues. And for the moment there seems to be a drive not only for equality, but I think that there's a drive to change society into the other side. There are things that there are. We can't discuss that. I think, yes, men, there are more CEOs at the top, but most CEOs spends between 60 to 90 hours a week for 20 years of their career. They on the weekend while we're having a barbecue, their barbecue, it's mainly because they're about to close another deal. That's why they have to. So there's so much about forgetting about their life and certain things. There's enormous drive that is biological, that maybe a woman you can't tell her not to have a baby. That's the drive. There's a clock, there's an internal clock that's driving us to have that. So we can't be minimalistic in the way we talk. However, we're gonna have to really recognize there will always be a gap. And I don't think that gap will ever close. And to close that gap, you must create instances where you now playing on equal opportunity, not gender pay.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
Then aren't we creating a society that is unfair?
You know what?
Yes, because equal opportunity even means not equal merit. Like, that's all I'm trying to say. There's nothing minimalistic.
We're teaching our kids from a young age now participation awards at a carnival. Everyone gets a participation award. They know who came first, second, or third. And if they lost, they know they lost, but they give them a participation award. These kids are going to grow into adults going, hang on, he's getting paid that. I should be getting paid that, but I'm not going to do the same. It doesn't work. Society isn't built that way. And if we're not careful, we're going to create kids that think that. And it's conversations like this that if we're going on because you're a woman, you need to be paid more. No, if you do more, you need to get paid more. It's simple. It's simple.
I believe so, but apparently not. Mate, the world's gone that crazy that women who used to be men are now allowed to fight in cage fights against biological women, mate. So, and if you dare say that they shouldn't be able to do that,
And
you're transphobic. You hate. You're anti.
men who used to be men,
Weightlifting in the
No,
Olympics.
women who used to be men, right? So there's
yeah.
and that's the world we're going down. There's transgender weightlifters now who are allowed to compete against women.
Exactly.
Right. And it's the same thing. This is where equality is taking us. This is where this fight for equality is taking us instead of a fight for merit and a fight for may the best, and I won't even say man, may the best person win, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. There's nothing wrong with, thank God women are having kids and raising our children and doing all that stuff. Thank God for that. We wouldn't have a society. We wouldn't have population. We wouldn't be able to do anything. It's not a minimalistic view to say, but because of that and because the CEOs are doing 90 hours a week, that they get paid more. And if a woman wants to be the CEO and wants to do 90 hours a week and wants to get paid the CEO wage, congratulations and do it. But you're not going to be able to have your kids.
And it's less
feed
likely
it too.
to become the CEO because it is a majority held man's position.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Cam, it is.
You can't have your kids and eat it too. All right?
Hey, by the way, no, but Ken, you can't talk like that because I think they're also your kids. So this is the thing.
No, that's what I mean.
When you're talking about those kind of stuff, you have to really imagine.
Yeah,
like,
I am.
they're also your kids.
100%.
And well, then your point it should not even come into that. I think that now is bringing sexism on the other opposite side. And I think that this is not what we're about. That's not what we're about.
I disagree, mate. All I'm saying is
I heard someone recently talking to executives in the high paying level. I mean, we're talking $200,000-$300,000, and we're talking about females. A lot of these females, lawyers, doctors, and so forth, knew that they could sustain their jobs because they had support behind them, and they could pay nannies and they could pay carers and chefs and so forth to look after the household and come home and do what they needed to do. So there are those women earning those money, but they know they need to pay some people for those roles. But their husband were also in similar roles. So it is possible. It is possible.
It is possible. I don't disagree with you. It is possible, but majority of the positions are held by men.
But that's not because they're men. That's the point. TL, there's no sexism here, mate. There's just.
Try to make your point without sounding sexist. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but.
Good luck.
Hey, good luck. But that's the problem. You can't have a point about merit without sounding sexist. Sexism would be saying that no woman deserves to be a CEO or earn as much as a male CEO. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's bloody hard to take 5 years, 10 years out of your life and raise children and still climb the corporate ladder and get to that point. But that's not a male's fault. And that's not the company's fault. And that's not
a female's fault.
It's not a female's fault, right? But that doesn't mean because you've taken 10 years out of the workforce to raise kids, you should just be made a CEO. That doesn't.
It doesn't. But it
can't
be looked at that because we've had that time and we haven't had those years that we also shouldn't deserve that position either.
No one said, well, that's the merit-based thing, mate. Having kids doesn't earn you the right to be the CEO of a company.
No, it doesn't. But if you want to put a 30-year-old against a 30-year-old and one's male and one's female and one's had to have 10 years off to have kids, you can't base it on merit because one's had a 10-year advantage.
Oh, but that's merit. That's the merit. The 10 years is
not merit. It's 10
but
years
what if one didn't want to have kids?
Well, okay. fine, one didn't want to have kids, but majority of, look, we're going to look at what the conversation is here. We're talking about men and females.
Yeah, but let's talk about two females then, right? One chooses to have kids and one doesn't, right? That other female makes it to the CEO position because she didn't choose to have kids.
Possibly.
Now you're saying she's got an unfair advantage because she chose not to have
No,
children?
I'm saying possibly she makes it there. Statistically, majority of those positions are held by men, and that's.
But if she does that and doesn't make it there, that's merit-based, not gender-based. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know that it's based purely on merit, though, Cam. That's the thing. I don't know that it's based purely on merit. It's like
Okay,
stigma.
Lou, do you think there's a boys' club? Do you
Let's
think
go back
there's
to childcare, nursing, banking. Let's go back to that. Hairdressing. Who holds majority of those positions? Women. Why? The
Lou, do
stigma.
you think there's a? I think the word is that.
Cost
old-
my wife
old boys
$300
club,
to get a
old-
haircut. So if I hear they're underpaid, I'm going to blow up.
The boys' club. Do you think there's something called a boys' club? Like, do you believe in this sort of analogy? There's a boys' club. He knows him, so he's going to get to the top because of who you know, not what you know. Sometimes. Do you think there's that analogy? Is that what you're saying?
I think that it's much easier for a man to take on a position in a higher level because statistically men do. And so if you're a man, you're going to find the road to that destination a lot easier than a woman. Because let's say there's a board of which all are men. The likelihood of them hiring a woman as their CEO, give me a number.
I haven't done the figure, so I don't know.
Exactly.
But Lou, you haven't done the numbers either, mate. You're just throwing it out there.
I'm asking for a hypothetical. I'm asking for your, if it was a board of men hiring a man, what statistically?
I know what I'd be doing. I'd be going through the merits of everyone's position. Doesn't matter if it's a board full of men.
Yeah, well, this is where I slightly disagree. I think I'm not saying I don't disagree with the merit. I don't disagree with it, but what I'm saying is I don't think the decisions and why people end up in those positions is based purely on merit. I think it's based a lot to do with gender, hence why there's a gap.
And I think that's part of the problem. I think that we're going around the world thinking that.
Okay, so do you think that gender decision, Lou, is based on females' age as well? So if someone was 30 applying for that job and someone was 45 applying for that job, do you think then they would look at those people differently? Or even 25 to 30 in that childbearing years, dependent on a 45-year-old, do you think that the board, let's say an all-female board looking at two females at different ages, would look at it differently?
I think they would have to, because obviously one's in one part of life and one's in another part of life. But
why? Is it the commitment to the time on the job?
No, I think it's just their time in their life. It's like,
so it's basically they're going to have might have an interruption to their role.
Exactly, yeah.
The biggest.
So whether you're men or female, it's going to be that ability to perform within your role. We're coming back to what we said before.
The biggest boys' club that we that we know of is the world of politics, because that's what it's been labelled, right? It's a boys' club, and yet, until a month ago, our state was run by a female, and Queensland's run by a female, and New Zealand's run by a female, and one of the highest profile prime ministers of England of all time was a female. The list can go on and on and on. To sit there and say, oh, if it's a board full of men, a woman can't have the same chance of getting a job as a woman is the kind of hyperbole, the kind of
put it into context though, Cam. Look back over the whole history of politics. How many female prime ministers have we had?
But whose fault is it?
Premiers have we had?
Whose fault is it?
I don't think it's nobody's fault. I think it's a collective fault.
But is that man's fault, right? Is that man's fault?
I'm not saying it's women's fault. I think as a society, we put a certain stigma that men are supposedly better at some jobs than women. And that's where the change needs to happen, because I can tell you, you guys can't have kids. I get that. But in terms of what we all do, which is real estate, I wouldn't question my ability against any of you guys.
No one has. You can't bring it back to real estate because you stopped me using that as an example.
I'm saying in terms of if we were to go out there and do our job as real estate agents today, I think I can do just as good a job
Absolutely.
as you guys can.
Absolutely.
And you'll get paid the same or more. If you're better than us, you'll get more.
Absolutely.
Cam, just wind back to what we were saying. As you just said, we had women premier, New Zealand premier, prime minister, whatever. But look back over history. Is that not the first female premier we've had?
Wouldn't have a clue.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. But we're catching up, Lou. This is society. We're catching up.
Because as a society, collectively, we've said men are traditionally or predominantly better. Well, bullshit.
So hang on. We're
Word.
not. No one said that. Not one person here has said that. And let's use politics. You just dug yourself. Yeah, let's use it because you just dug yourself a hole. How does a politician get their job?
Bribes?
Elections. They're elected positions.
Yes.
What's the ratio of men to female in the world or in New South Wales? Is it close to 50% male to female?
Wouldn't have a clue.
Right. I bet you it's close to 50% male to female because it takes two to tango, right?
You
takes
don't know
two hey?
You don't know either.
Takes two to tango. They're voted into their positions. They're voted by both men and women into their positions.
Yes.
Yes, they are.
I get you.
No, Ken. I think that
Turn on me, brother.
Short-sighted, man. I think in order to be voted in, you have to work like a man. In order to go out there and be voted in, you have to work the hours like a man. All right. Gladys, is she married?
No.
Did Gladys have a family? Man, I'm telling you, I'm not saying that there are people without family, but somewhere in the couple, someone had to sacrifice and say, all right, darling, you go and do this. I will hold back. I think that what you're saying is I disagree, Ken. You're looking at 7. You're looking at the no, I don't care about the voters. It's 50-50.
No, Australia.
There are jobs where the demand is so difficult. You know, that is going to be very it's almost impossible for a woman. I'm just thinking 20 years ago, if my wife said, I'm going to do politics, I'm going to do this, and she's a lawyer, so she could go and do that afterwards. Would I really say, yeah, okay, I'll stay home and look after the kids? Or would I say, yeah, you go and do what you're doing. Hey, I still want to be the best real estate agent I could be in the company. Because I know that the answer would be the second one. I'd say, you can work for yourself. And then at some stage, now the kids are starting to suffer. School reports come back and they have problems. Something's got to give. So the discussion in the family now make decision. And it is most likely in that instance. And in my case, I have to say, Veronique had to sacrifice her career so that I could go the direction of the training company I was setting up, so that I could do the kind of things that we were doing. If she hadn't sacrificed, I just don't know. So come on, man, stop trying to. You're talking about women as if they're men, and
I'm not.
Taking the wrong thing. They don't have the same opportunity as men. And yes, Louise,
did your wife become a lawyer?
There was a study where it showed when women and men went to an interview, that people were looking at what is a stereotype of what a man does versus what a woman does. For example, when they asked people in the survey came back that in general, people think that men are about taking charge and that women are about taking care. And so if you went for a job that is about taking charge, such as CEO, the opportunity is already less towards a woman.
Exactly.
You disgust me, Hoang.
So it is affecting that gender pay, isn't it, Ken?
No, I just think you think Louise needs a friend, mate. Was your wife? No, listen. No. I'm not going to have as a man who loves the ladies. I'm not going to have you all turn against me and turn me into a woman hater, because that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt in more ways than one, right? So can I just ask you this, Thomas? Did your wife manage to become a lawyer?
Yeah.
Did she do it on her own merit?
Yes.
Is she a female?
Yes.
Did you then have a family discussion about the way you wanted to head as a family and make the decision that you would go where you were going and Veronique would raise the children ish?
No.
Ish.
No.
Well, then how did you just said that? You just fucking said that's exactly what happened. So
We never. Well, now that you ask me, be very, very careful because she's listening too. So don't ask.
I
me
love Veronique.
questions. You may actually create more trouble for. We did.
No, you want to dig me a hole, brother? Let's dig. Let's dig together, right? Let's go.
No, we did not have the discussion. But what happened is that there was a natural progression.
Right.
Exactly. A natural progression.
Yes, exactly, Lou. She was able to become a lawyer even though she's a woman. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Even though she's a female.
We're going to be cancelled, man.
Even though, no, but that's what I mean. That's how stupid it is. Of course women can become lawyers. Of course they can become premiers. Of course they can become prime ministers. You can do all of it. If you choose not to, that's no one's fault. Right? That's what I'm saying. You can do it. You can do it, Lou. You can do it.
Absolutely. And
I wonder where's the Jeff today.
Where is the Jeff?
Where's the Jeff? Because we need the bloody Jeff.
I was about to ask.
I was talking to someone this week who hates the Jeff. And actually, and he said to me,
I love the Jeff.
He said, if I ever meet that effing Jeff, I will kick him in the teeth. I will freaking destroy him. He's such a lefty and blah, blah, blah. But I'm thinking, Jesus, mate, I'm never going to tell you who the Jeff is because we need to protect the Jeff. Like, this
Tell
is
me who
why.
that person is. I want to protect Jeff.
So
Jeff's on the right side of politics. Whoever that is a goose because I haven't listened to anything. He's apart from one or two subjects. He's on the right side of politics almost every single time. So
Jeff is
he's from the Hills District.
Leave Jeff alone. People.
I don't know. Maybe that's
Thomas,
why
you're Pauline Hanson's right hand wingwoman, mate. You're the leader of your party is a female, so you know that women can do it. You know,
yeah, absolutely.
Right.
This is why my deputy leader Mark Glaetzer went out there and just gave Lisa Wilkinson a run for her money and bashing the crap out of her. But you know, we're gonna have to be careful too with Mark. I mean, he bashed everyone anyway. So the problem is, listen.
Anyone who's written a book whose husband's a pirate, I can't really.
There is no doubt that society is biased. That society will make decisions based on gender. Absolutely.
Yes,
and I
I
get
agree with that. Yes.
Yeah, I agree that society will go out and do your man. There's certain things. If I was to look for bricklayers, it's going to be hard for me to take a woman. And if I see that she's got long fingernails, there's probably no need to even sit down and talk to her. I get it. But are we going to really trying to change our society this way? Is that what we are trying to produce?
I don't think we should, but that's what Lou wants for the world. So
No, that's not what
that is what you want for the world.
No, it's not.
Chris wants that too. I mean, that's why.
No,
Chris,
I feel like you know what? I actually feel like Chris and I are on the same page here, and you, Luang, you've tried to turn me into a fucking.
I know. I'm just raising question. Man.
And I think
how many guys do we want birthing children? Honestly,
well, it's not possible.
I was 22.
no. So I've forgotten the name of the person that handles the birth of your child. What are they called?
Midwife.
Midwife. How many male midwives are there?
I had one.
There's quite a few.
Quite a few. But if we're talking percentages, if we're talking statistics, Louise, because I know you love them. Right?
But listen.
No, do you know what
he'll be? He'll be a better catch. He'll be a better catch. He'll be like if I want anyone catching the baby, it's a man. Trust me.
I think the whole thing is, going back to what Thomas said, is the whole gender thing. People are getting positions based on their gender. And, you know, if you had a female turn up to a bricklaying job, you'd probably say absolutely no way, because historically that's just not the done thing. But I think what the whole point is, as you said, Cam, it should be based on merit. Who's to say a woman can't lay bricks as good as a man?
No, so put her on the tools and see what happens. That's the point, right?
Exactly.
And I'm not saying she won't be able to. I'm not saying she won't.
Would you hire a female bricklayer today?
After a day on the tools, well, we give everyone a trial day.
For a day. She'd have to prove herself for a day.
I don't give anyone a job without proving themselves, and that's the whole point. You have to prove yourself. You don't just get a job.
Okay.
No one just gets a job.
Okay.
No one just gets paid.
Forget about proving yourself. Would you hire a female bricklayer?
If she proved herself 100%.
No, but some jobs you
Don't ask me a question and then don't like the answer and then write it off, right?
I'm not writing it off. I'm just saying, based on that analogy alone, what are the chances of somebody hiring a female bricklayer as opposed to a bloke bricklayer?
But Lou, on that, you have to prove yourself.
You have to prove yourself. You can't just
listen. I was a cement renderer before real estate. I was a cement renderer, one of the most physical jobs in the building industry, second to bricklaying and tiling and concreting. I'm telling you, I had a list of people that I'd served before. Here's the phone numbers of my past clients. Call them. If you don't believe me, call them. You still have to prove yourself.
Statistically, historically, you are going to get the job over a female because that's a bloke's job.
Not if you can.
I think
Bullshit.
listen, if we're going to have a discussion, we're going to have to really look at it this way, all right? If a female turn up for a bricklaying job, none of us here, all right, are going to say, let's put her in. Exactly. Unless she's there to bring us coffee. Right, I can
That's
guarantee
bullshit. No, I 100%, 1,000% disagree. 1,000% disagree.
You're talking shit now.
No, I'm not.
No, I disagree with this podcast. We're doing it wrong. We're going to have to really be honest with the stuff. Just as much as maybe 10, 15 years ago, if you had a male turning up or applying for a receptionist position or right, that you would go, oh yeah, let's have a look at it. It is unlikely. And this is why but unfortunately, there are things that you're looking at. For example, I'm going to say this, that if you're looking at if people were applying for a job that you know is going to take long hours, it's unlikely that you're going to be wanting to see a single young mother with a 12-month-old baby. This is nothing to do with gender pay, but it's a fact of life that are biased and are driven by certain bias.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, but I'm not going to have words put in my mouth. If someone can lay as many bricks and do the job that they need to do, and they're female, they get the bricklaying job. That's the end of it.
It's nice to say it, man. But I'm telling you, you have two.
I'd have my dad. No, here's the thing.
People.
When she rocked up, when she rocks up and says, I want to do a trial day as a bricklayer, I'm going to have my doubts. There's no disputing that. But if she does a day of bricklaying and proves herself, is she going to get a start 100%? 100%.
No.
Am I saying there would have been doubts to start with? 100% not. There would have been doubts. But if she proves herself on a day, the same trial day we give everyone else, we do it every frigging day as employers, all four of us, right?
Did you not say at the very beginning of this podcast that men are better salespeople than women?
Yes, he did.
You did.
I said I'm a better salesperson.
Oh, you said men. You said
I said I'm.
You said men, and Chris agreed with you. And I didn't say anything at the time, but I thought I'd give you a run for your money. You know, just saying.
No, I don't think I said that.
I actually said the top salesperson in our. I actually said
that. In our industry or in our network.
No, what we said. No.
So the top salesperson in our office in our network is a female.
Exactly. You did say that, but you also said somewhere along the conversation that men are statistically or something better.
No, I never. No, mate.
What we said was, would you rather be known as the best female salesperson or the best salesperson?
No. I said I was the best salesperson because I brought both of you over to my side of the fence. That's what I said.
I'm not talking about the part. There was a part where you said specifically.
Didn't happen, Lou, because I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think it's much easier for a woman to sell than a man.
Cam, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? I just thought of something, just a simple question. So going back to the bricklayer thing, female bricklayer, you'd give her a trial day. If she was a good bricklayer, you'd give her a go. Would you ask for a trial day if it was a man?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
What about if it was a carpenter?
Same
Plumber.
deal.
Plumber, electrician?
No one gets to start unless they've done a day's work or a week's work or whatever you feel is necessary. And depending on the job, it's going to be different things that are necessary. But we all know that you can tell within 5 minutes whether someone's cut out for what they're doing or not.
But how? How can you tell in 5 minutes? What's the point of giving them a trial if you can tell in 5 minutes if they're cut out for it?
Because you give them the trial to see what the first 5 minutes holds for you.
Yeah.
Like we all know.
I did agree. Like, I mean, I haven't hired a tradesman in the last year to do a job and said, oh, and by the way, I've got to give you a trial first.
No, but that's you're getting someone to do a job for you. You're not employing them as an employee.
If I get a tradesman to build me a deck, I'm still employing him. There's no difference.
It's completely different, Lou. Completely different.
No.
If I'm the boss of a bricklaying company and I want to know if someone's a decent bricklayer, I'm going to give them a trial day. If someone then rings us and says, come out and quote a bricklaying job, you come out and give a quote and you either get the job or you don't. It's not about...
That's the analogy that I was using. If you asked as a homeowner for somebody to come out and give you a quote and a female turned up, would you even consider her as somebody who's capable of doing the job?
Has she got, well, again, you'd have your doubts, but we walk into how many listing appointments do we walk into where there might be male, female bias or anything in between? You've just got to prove yourself. We got 2 hours to prove ourselves in a listing appointment, do we not?
Yeah, we do. But majority, like it's a 50-50 ratio in real estate. It's totally different. We're talking about industries that are totally different. Like how many women builders, electricians, plumbers, metal engineers, metal fabricators, fitter machinists. Tell me.
I actually know women who have made a complete career out of being a female carpenter or a female, I won't say bricky because I don't know any brickies, right? But their whole shtick, their whole advertising thing is, I'm a woman.
Absolutely.
Right?
And because of that, they earn a lot of money. Because
more than men. Oh my God, you can't do that. Oh my God. Oh no, hang on. You're not saying that she's earning more money because she's a female, are you?
I am, because it's a rare
that as a society. But that's okay.
It's a majority men held position. That's why it's a rare thing, and so they should be paid.
So should men be paid more in childcare then? When you're saying that, Lou?
Male nurses should be paid more. Male flight attendants should be paid more. Male midwives should be paid more.
Are we getting the Jeff on or what? What's going on?
I don't know, man. The Jeff is not available today. He's not on.
Maybe he's applying for a job somewhere.
He's probably my only thing is this, Kat. I look at the discussion on gender pay, and I kind of laugh about what we're doing for the moment here, because you can see there's a bully. And then there's a woman trying to make a point, and you can almost equate that to a gender pay discussion or how it is out there in an interview, where the bully, whenever he feels like cutting you off, butt in and scream his point, he will do it. And then I was noticing how you, Louise, would just stop, let him have that. And I think that this is what is about gender, is that men will jump in, take the microphone because he can. No need for honesty. Politeness. Where women are more what they call, has got that sense of agreeableness. But agreeableness is not a trait for winning. Yeah, it's not a winning trait. And so it's a funny thing to watch, really, even in here, and hence, Lou, I'm not sure that this discussion will ever change a thing. I think I agree to this week discussion, but I personally don't think this is going to make a difference.
No, I don't. I agree with you. I agree with you. And yeah, sorry, I cut you off.
There are going to be women And every time I see Chris looking at his wife for approval, I get it. Yeah, there's going to be a situation where there's going to be women who actually will just be out there and you know, I get it. if Chris stood up, we would see the skirt on him, but it's not it's not like that in every family. It's not like that in every household, right? So, but the majority, even the audience, I can guarantee you, the audience almost like this. You have the blokey of someone who are going to probably upload the gorilla we have here, bullying his way around through the entire podcast. Then we're gonna have the feminists, the women who are about no, we deserve to be the same, and not only that, we actually work harder than you guys, who are going to put him down. And I don't want G to take side, because I go, a gorilla will always do what a gorilla can do. You can't change the nature of a gorilla. So are we having really a discussion? And Chris is now looking. Can please, Daddy, give me an answer? So I love reading.
Leeuwin, you can get stuffed, mate. Seriously, for fuck's sake. Unbelievable.
No, you know what I love, Chris?
Go and have
He's
a
been
meal, mate.
he's been into us.
You've become angry. Go and eat.
Yeah. Don't worry, Chris. He's been into us for the last 2 weeks.
Bloody hell.
No, wait, Danilo, he's been into us for the last 2 weeks about not having a firm enough position. So
Listen,
we have a position, and now we're bullies and gorillas.
I'll
And
ask you this. Talking about CEOs, Lou. I'm talking about CEO companies, high-end companies, right? Stock market, all that sort of thing. On the board of directors, right? Simple question. Do you think that companies would do better with more women or better with more men? Like, simple. I'm asking you.
Chris,
Oh, let's go. Yeah.
I actually think if women had the opportunity to hold those positions,
No.
It's
A simple question, one way or the other. I don't want to like a memorandum on you do you think women would do better? The company would do better with more women or with more men? Because we know, like aggressive nature, men are aggressive and so forth. Women are passive, carers and nurturers and so forth. We're talking about a company in the world. Let's call it Apple. Would Apple do better with more women or with more men?
I think they'll take 6 months to think about it and get back to you.
well, I think, as you just said, men are more aggressive and women are more caring and nurturing. I think in this world, people aren't in today. The world that we're living in today, women want more. The world wants more nurture and care. They don't want aggression. They want equality, and
We want cheaper iPhones. That's all we want.
But gorilla number 2, I think.
No, he's gorilla 1.
No, you're gorilla number 2. I'm talking to you.
Oh. Yet again, Louise.
Unbelievable.
Let again.
I think there would be a very different world that we would live in if women did hold majority of their positions. Not because we're better, not because of anything. I think just because it has been a predominantly male-based position or industry, if you like. I think we would be living in a different world.
Yeah.
The world we are in today, knowing how we are today, if there was a company where the women were the majority on the board, that company do better or worse than the majority of the other companies?
It's almost an impossible answer, Chris, but I can't say that we would do any worse.
Okay.
I think they'd shoot each other in the back a lot more than they shoot each other in the face. That's for sure.
No.
To answer your question too now, Chris, what about those companies where 50% of the board have to be women? And I don't make the cut in the 50% of men, but I would have beaten like the bottom 20% of women. How unfair is it for me?
That's inequality, mate.
That's
inequality. Forget the gender pay crap. That's inequality. It's simple.
And where does that company end up?
That's a company that I want to know about because I won't buy stocks in it.
All right, guys, listen, I don't think that we'll have the Jeff this week. The Jeff does not like, obviously, this topic. But I don't know. I think we got.
You disappoint me, Hoang. You disappoint me this
Why?
week.
Why?
Because there's something holding you back from saying what you really think. I can feel it. I
No,
can sense it.
no. I've said it from the beginning.
You call me a bully and all that shit. That's what you really think. I know that. But the rest of it,
you see, I haven't even finished my line. You bullied in, which is
bullying.
So, but here's what I said from the beginning, right? I don't like this topic. I think people are talking nonsense. And I think that there are people who are taking on this agenda to do other things with, right? And I fear that equal gender pay has been taken for feministic drive. That's what I fear. I fear for inequality to be driving this topic. I fear for non-performance basis, but communist kind of behavior to hijack this kind of subject. That's the only thing that I feel. So for me, I'm not even interested in this subject. We're talking about it. I know it's going to be a big subject, but for me, and this is where I go back to where I think Cam and I started. It should be on merit, it should be on performance, but it doesn't matter what we say, Cam. This is how this world is gone. And if we were to do it and say it wrong, or and fortunately, there's only like 2 people watching this. I mean, your wife and my wife, and so we won't have a problem. They support us. But if we had more than that, people will go into cancel mode. People will go into this kind of crappy mode because all that they look at is, I'm a female, you now saying it doesn't exist or you don't support it, therefore I hate you. It's not what we're saying. What I'm saying is there's hundreds of thousands of years in our DNA driving us. And we are now trying to discuss DNA. That to me doesn't work.
Exactly. And that's where I agree. It's not such a gender thing. It's a stigma thing and it's a biology thing. And I think we've come around and long enough to see that equally bricklayer, carpenter, real estate agent, whatever, midwife, why can't men and women just do the same job? That's how I see it, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Can
just
I ask
a thing.
Ask a simple question. Thomas, Cam, you've both got, Thomas, you've got 3 daughters. Cam, you've got 1. I've got 1. The way we deal with our daughters.
I've got 1.
Lou, but I'm talking about men, the way they speak to their daughters.
It's all right, Lou. It's all equal. We all got daughters. It's okay.
But I'm talking about men, the way they speak to their daughters. Do you think our daughters will aim for a higher job the way we deal with our daughters rather than like in the past? Do you think our daughters will want to achieve more in the way 100%. We treat our daughters? So
100%. That's why 100%. That's why the family dynamic's gone down. You spoke about it earlier. That's why there's less kids being had and less and more women in higher paid positions, even though they're
better for worse. We don't know. We'll see that in the future. I think it might be for worse. And there'll be nations in the world.
Hang on.
I think there'll be nations in the world that the population will increase substantially, and others that will decrease. But we'll find that out after we're long gone, I think.
Yeah.
For example, Denmark, and I want to close with this. Denmark is the leading country when it comes to gender pay, right? And what has happened is that lately they actually said, you know what, all of that stuff, let's forget all that stuff. Let's go for whatever we're doing. And because we got gender pay gap down pat anyway. And what they found out is that without making a big deal, women were starting to naturally go towards more caring kind of positions where men were going naturally towards the engineering side and more calculating side. And so what they have come down to a conclusion is that in the end, we have to go with what it is that makes us happy with our inclination, and rather than try and sit down and set up some kind of bloody jobs to pay ourselves to come up with figures that proves our point so that we justify our job, so we justify our organization, right? And this is what I like to close with. I think it's been a good topic. Just as usual, the good thing about what we do with the Wine and Wisdom is that it makes us think.
Yeah.
And yes, we with the four of us, we do spend quite a bit of time to come up with certain things, and even though can just go into one direction, which is the entertainment of what we try to also provide, is that, you know, if the four of us went in and yeah, you're right, it's not the point. That is that I really don't know Ken's position, just as much as maybe I don't know the Chris' position, but that's why for our audience to really guess what is the real position, that's for them to decide. But for us, it's been actually a very, very good way to think about certain things about life. And if anything at all, One Wisdom has always have that one drive. We talk about subject that makes us think, because at the end of the day, we grow, because we believe a mastermind group that takes the time to think about issues of the world is a mastermind group of people who just will grow through the journey. Thank you very much for today, guys. Crappy
Thanks, guys.
subject, but whoever picked it, we don't want him back. Talk soon.